A storm rolled across the alien world of Nareth 4, dark clouds twisting like angry shadows. Lightning cracked above the metallic rooftops of the marketplace, and the wind carried the sharp smell of burning fuel. Traders ran for shelter, pulling their stalls closed. Neon lights flickered and machines hissed as rain poured over them. In the middle of the chaos stood Lyra, a young alien girl with glowing skin that shimmered like liquid light. Her colors kept changing, soft blue when she tried to stay calm, bright gold when she looked around nervously. People whispered as they saw her. Everyone knew the Vayari, her kind, could not hide emotions. Their skin told the truth, but tonight something was wrong. Lyra's skin turned black, a gasp moved through the crowd. Black meant only one thing among her people, death. The guards looked at her with fear, and the shopkeepers closed their shutters. Someone shouted, "Stay away from her! She's cursed!" Lyra stumbled backward, clutching her arms. The stormwater mixed with her tears. She didn't understand what was happening. Her heart pounded, and the colors on her skin flashed between red, blue, and black like a broken light. Then, through the roaring rain, a deep human voice called out, "Hey, are you hurt?" A man pushed through the crowd. His clothes were soaked, his hands covered with oil and grease. He was a human mechanic, tall, rough-looking, with tired eyes that still held kindness. His name was Evan Red. When he reached Lyra, the others stepped back. No one dared come close. He knelt beside her as thunder rolled again. "It's all right," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." Lyra looked up at him. Her skin flickered pale pink, the color of confusion. "Don't touch me," she whispered. "It's not safe," Evan frowned. "You'll freeze out here." He took off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. The moment the fabric touched her skin, light spread from her body like waves in water, soft white at first, then flashing violet and gold. The color pulsed up his arm, warm and strange. The crowd gasped again. Evan ignored them. "Come on," he said. "You need help." He lifted her into his arms. For a second, her skin turned silver, glowing softly against his chest. He didn't know what it meant, but it made his heart beat faster. As he carried her away, the market speakers crackled to life. A metallic voice echoed through the streets. "Attention, citizens. The escaped Vayari subject is dangerous. Do not engage. Report any sighting immediately." Lyra's eyes widened. "They're coming," she whispered. "They'll find me." Evan looked up at the sky where drones buzzed through the storm like dark birds. "Not tonight," he muttered. "Hold on." He ran through narrow alleys, lightning flashing around him. The rain made the metal walkways slippery, but he didn't stop. Behind them, mechanical searchlights swept across the streets, hunting for movement. Finally, Evan reached an old workshop at the edge of the lower docks. The door slid open with a rusty groan. Inside, it smelled of oil, dust, and metal parts. Broken robots hung from chains, and old plasma tools hummed faintly in the dark. He set Lyra down on a workbench and checked her pulse. She was breathing fast, her skin glowing in rhythm with her heartbeat, blue, gold, pink, and then black again. "What's happening to you?" he whispered. Lyra looked at her hands. "I don't know," she said weakly. "It started when they tried to change us, when they tried to control our emotions. But something went wrong," Evan frowned. "Control your emotions? Why?" "To make us weapons," she said. Her voice broke. "They said emotions are energy, but now I can't stop it." Her skin shifted once more, becoming a strange silver light that shimmered around her like mist. The machines in the room buzzed, some even sparking alive for a moment. Evan stared, speechless. Outside, thunder crashed again and the speakers blared. "Human citizen detected near last known coordinates. Prepare for retrieval." Evan looked toward the door, then back at her. "Looks like I just got myself in trouble," he said quietly. Lyra met his eyes, her silver light trembling. "You shouldn't have touched me," she whispered. "Now, they'll come for you too." And as the storm howled outside, the human mechanic and the glowing alien girl sat in silence, two strangers connected by one forbidden touch that neither of them could yet understand. The rain outside had stopped, but thunder still echoed across the horizon. Inside the dim workshop, flickering lights painted soft shadows on the walls. The air smelled of hot metal and machine oil. Lyra sat silently on the workbench, wrapped in an old blanket. Her skin glowed faint blue, sadness mixed with exhaustion. Evan moved around the room, switching off scanners and locking the heavy metal door. "You're safe here," he said, trying to sound confident. But his hands were shaking slightly. He wasn't sure who he had just saved or what she really was. Lyra looked at him, eyes glowing faint silver. They'll come. They always do. Evan sighed. Not tonight. This place is off the grid. The power lines are cut and I don't register my ID anywhere near this district. He handed her a cup of warm water. She took it carefully, her hands trembling. The moment their fingers touched, a faint pulse of white light spread between them. Soft, harmless, but strange enough to make both of them pause. What was that? He asked quietly. My body reacts to touch, she said. Our color shows what we feel. But you make it change in ways I don't understand. Evan frowned. I make your color change? Lyra nodded slowly. Humans are different. I can feel something from you. Calm maybe. Warm. Her skin rippled with a new hue, soft gold like morning sunlight. Evan stepped back, confused but fascinated. Never seen anything like that before. He glanced toward his computer terminal. Maybe I can scan it, she looked frightened. No, scanners hurt. Not this one, he said gently. It's just light. Won't touch you. After a moment, she nodded. Evan activated a small handheld scanner and waved it near her arm. The screen filled with colors and strange symbols. He frowned. This can't be right. Your cells, they're changing shape every few seconds. They told me I was a failure, Lyra whispered. They wanted soldiers who could control emotion. But my colors were unstable. Evan stared at the data. You mean they tried to engineer feelings? She nodded. Our kind Vayari are born connected to emotion. Humans wanted to use that power. When they injected us with human DNA, something new appeared. He looked up sharply. Wait, you have human DNA? Lyra hesitated. A small part. Enough to confuse my body. That's why it doesn't know what color to be anymore. Evan felt a cold chill down his spine. He was no scientist, but he knew what that meant. Someone had tried to merge human and alien biology. No wonder they're hunting you, he muttered. You're proof they crossed a line. She lowered her head. If they find me, they'll end it. Evan paced around the room, thinking fast. He had always stayed out of trouble, fixing ships for anyone who paid. Human, alien, didn't matter. But this was different. He looked at her glowing face and made a choice he couldn't explain. You're not going anywhere, he said finally. I'll keep you safe. Her skin flickered pink, surprise. Why would you risk that? You don't even know me, he smiled faintly. You looked like you needed someone to believe you. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence was broken only by the low hum of old machines. Then the peace shattered. A red warning light blinked on the wall. Evan froze. Motion sensors, he whispered. Through the window, blue lights flashed. Hover drones. They found us, Lyra said, her skin turning black again. Evan grabbed a small EMP device and handed her a helmet. Get down. Don't move. The door shuddered as drones scanned the metal frame. Evan hit a switch, lights went out. The room fell into complete darkness except for Lyra's glowing skin. He whispered, Lyra, stop glowing. I can't, she said, terrified. Fear makes it stronger. The door exploded inward, sparks flying. Evan grabbed her hand without thinking. Instantly, her black light turned white. Pure, blinding white. Every drone froze mid-air. Sparks rained from their cores. One by one, they dropped to the ground, lifeless. The light faded slowly, leaving smoke and silence. Evan stood there, breathing hard. What did you just do? Lyra's voice trembled. I didn't mean to. When you touched me, something connected. He looked around at the destroyed drones. Connected? Lyra, that wasn't connection, that was power. Her skin shimmered softly, the color of confusion and fear. Then maybe, your touch is the key, Evan didn't reply. Outside, the storm clouds thinned, revealing the glow of the twin moons. Inside the quiet workshop, two beings, one human, one alien, stood facing each other, both realizing that something extraordinary had begun. The workshop was silent except for the faint hum of broken machines cooling down. Smoke curled from the floor where the drones had fallen. Evan stood still, staring at the glowing girl beside him. Lyra's skin shimmered softly, silver mixed with blue, like moonlight trapped in motion. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally, Evan whispered, You fried military drones. With a feeling. Lyra looked down, her voice trembling. I didn't mean to. When someone touches me, emotions turn into energy. I can't control it. Evan stepped closer, eyes wide with awe. You turned fear into light. That's not a weapon, that's power. Lyra shook her head. That's why they fear us, because power born from feeling cannot be programmed. They want machines, not hearts. Outside, faint sirens echoed through the distant streets. Evan rushed to the control panel, killing every signal output from the building. We need to stay quiet. They'll trace the energy burst. Lyra sat on the workbench, wrapping the blanket tighter. Her glowing skin dimmed slightly, fading to a calm silver hue. Silver means safety, she said softly. It's rare. I never felt it before. Evan turned to her, surprised. You feel safe now? She nodded faintly. When you touched me, my colors stopped fighting. He froze, unsure what to say. He had seen thousands of machines in his life. Broken circuits, burnt engines, but nothing like her. She wasn't made of code or wires. She was alive in a way machines could never be. He sat across from her. Lyra, I need to understand something. That energy you released, can you control it? She hesitated. Sometimes, when I feel happy, machines around me heal themselves. When I'm sad, they die. When I'm angry. She stopped. They explode. Evan stared at the dead drones scattered on the floor. Then we better make sure you stay happy. Lyra almost smiled, the faintest golden tint appearing on her cheeks. It lit the dark workshop like a candle. But their small peace didn't last long. A sharp tone came from the radio near the wall. Encrypted frequency. Evan frowned and turned the knob. Static burst, then a robotic voice spoke. Search Team Delta reporting. Unusual energy spike detected near Dock Sector 9. All units converge. Lyra's color shifted to gray. Fear again. They're close. Evan stood quickly. We can't stay here. I know a way through the tunnels under the city. He packed a small energy pack, a map, and an old pulse pistol. Lyra watched, silent, her silver glow faint but steady. Before leaving, Evan hesitated. If you stay close to me, can you keep your power low? I can try, she whispered. They slipped out through a hidden back door. The streets were quiet, filled with puddles reflecting neon light. The storm had cleared, leaving a thin mist that glowed under the twin moons. Evan led her down a staircase behind his workshop into the old drainage tunnels, dark, echoing, and endless. Their footsteps splashed softly in the shallow water. Lyra's voice broke the silence. Why are you helping me, Evan? You could turn me in and get a reward. He didn't look back. I've seen enough people used and thrown away. You don't deserve that. Her skin warmed to a soft pink. Gratitude. You're strange for a human. I get that a lot, he muttered with a small grin. Suddenly a noise echoed ahead, metal clanging. Evan raised his pistol. A small scanning drone floated from the shadows, its red eye glowing. Don't move, he whispered. The drone whirred closer. Lyra's color began shifting fast, orange, red, black. I can't control it, she said, panicked. Focus on me, Evan said quickly. Look at me, not it. Her gaze locked on his, trembling. I'm trying. The drone's red eye flashed brighter, about to fire. Evan lunged forward, shielding her. His hand caught hers again. A burst of white and silver light erupted through the tunnel. The drone disintegrated midair, scattering molten fragments across the walls. Evan fell to his knees, panting. You did it again. But this time the light didn't fade immediately. The whole tunnel glowed faint silver, and the air itself felt charged. Lyra blinked in confusion. This isn't me. Something else is happening. Evan checked his wrist scanner. It showed readings far beyond normal. You're charging the environment, he said in disbelief. Your emotions are turning into living energy. The tunnel lights flickered back to life one by one, as if responding to her presence. Machines that had been dead for years started humming. Lyra's eyes widened. I didn't destroy something this time, she whispered. I gave it life. Evan stared at her, speechless. Lyra, maybe that's what you were made for, not to destroy, but to heal. Her skin shimmered bright silver, brighter than ever before, and somewhere far above them, inside a command center filled with screens, Dr. Vale watched the silver light bloom beneath the surface of Nareth 4. He leaned forward, a thin smile spreading across his face. So the experiment survived, he murmured, and now the human has bonded with her. The tunnels beneath Nareth 4 stretched like endless veins of metal and stone. The faint silver glow from Lyra's body reflected in the dark water as she walked beside Evan. Their footsteps echoed softly, the silence between them heavy but alive. Above ground, the city was hunting them. Below, only ghosts of old machines whispered in the shadows. Lyra's voice broke the quiet. "You shouldn't have helped me," she said softly. "Your people will punish you for it." Evan glanced at her, his face lit by her faint silver light. "Let them try," he said. "I've been invisible to them for years. One more secret won't kill me." She looked down, her color shifting to pale pink, uncertainty. "You don't understand. My emotions, they hurt people." Evan's lips curved into a small smile. "Yeah, well, so does love. Doesn't stop us from feeling it." For the first time, Lyra laughed, soft, surprised. Her skin flickered golden for a heartbeat. The glow warmed the tunnel walls like a sunrise. Evan stopped walking. "There, do you feel that?" "What?" "When you laugh, everything feels lighter," he said. "Like the air itself changes." Lyra looked around. The water near her boots rippled gently, even though there was no wind. "It reacts to me," she whispered. "Everything does." Suddenly, a deep hum vibrated through the ground. Evan frowned, looking up at the ceiling pipes. "They found the power surge," he said. "They're scanning the tunnels." He took her hand without thinking. "Run!" They sprinted down the narrow passage, the hum growing louder behind them. From the darkness, flying probes burst out, sleek silver drones releasing waves of blue light. The beams struck the walls, burning holes where they hit. Lyra gasped, her fear rising, and her skin flashed red. Instantly, the nearby lights exploded, showering sparks everywhere. Evan pulled her behind a large pipe. "You're glowing again." "I can't stop it," she cried, trembling. Evan grabbed her shoulders. "Then focus on me. Just breathe." She stared at him, terrified. Her light pulsed faster. "It's too strong." "Trust me," he said firmly. "You can control it." His hand pressed against hers. The color on her skin began to soften, from red to orange, then gold. The air calmed. The drone's sensors flickered, losing signal. Lyra's breathing slowed. "It's working," she whispered. Evan smiled faintly. "Told you. Sometimes you just need someone steady to hold on to." Her golden glow spread around them, hiding their heat signatures completely. The drones passed overhead, scanning, but saw nothing. After they left, both of them stayed still for a moment, listening to the silence. Then Evan whispered, "You saved us that time." Lyra looked at their joined hands. "No," she said softly. "We saved us." They continued through the tunnels until they reached a large circular chamber, a forgotten maintenance hub. Rusted cables hung from the ceiling. In the center stood a broken generator half buried in dust. Evan began checking the control panels. "If I can restart this thing, we can use it to mask our location. The power waves will confuse their scanners." Lyra knelt beside him, curious. "You fix things." "Always fixing." He smiled at her words. "That's what mechanics do. We take what's broken and make it whole again." She tilted her head. "Even people?" Evan paused, meeting her eyes. "I try." For a moment they simply looked at each other. The machine beside them began to hum back to life, faintly powered by the residual energy Lyra was unconsciously giving off. The soft silver glow filled the chamber like mist. Evan touched the old console and whispered, "There we go." But before he could finish, a voice echoed from the darkness above them, cold and metallic. "Human subject identified. Emotional anomaly detected. Terminate on sight." Dozens of red dots appeared in the shadows. A squad of human enforcers descended on grappling lines, their visors glowing crimson. Lyra's color flashed black, pure terror. Evan aimed his pistol, but there were too many. He shouted, "Lyra, don't lose control." "I'm trying." A shot fired. Evan ducked. The bullet grazed his shoulder. Pain made him stumble. Lyra screamed. Her skin erupted into white fire, bright, pure, endless. The soldiers froze midair as every piece of metal in the chamber vibrated violently. Sparks rained like silver rain. Then everything stopped. The soldiers hung motionless, their weapons melted. The chamber lights flickered out. The only thing glowing was Lyra, standing in the center, breathing hard, her silver aura spinning gently around her like a living storm. Evan stared at her in awe. You protected me." She looked at him, tears shining in her eyes. "I didn't want to hurt anyone, but I couldn't let them take you." He stepped closer, ignoring the smoke, and placed a hand on her arm. Her color softened from silver to soft pink again. Peaceful, alive. In that quiet ruin of metal and light, the mechanic and the alien girl stood surrounded by silence. And for the first time, both realized they didn't just share danger, they shared trust. The maintenance chamber was silent again. Smoke drifted through the air and the smell of burnt metal filled the tunnels. Evan pressed his hand over the wound on his shoulder, wincing. The bullet had grazed him, but the pain felt distant, muted by the sight of the glowing girl before him. Lyra stood still, surrounded by faint waves of silver light. Her breathing was uneven, her eyes wide. The light around her shimmered and flickered, as if her body itself couldn't decide between calm and fear. Evan spoke softly. "You saved my life again?" She shook her head. "No, I lost control. If I'd gone too far, you would have burned too." "But I didn't," he said. "Because you stopped yourself. That means something." Her glow dimmed to soft blue. "Sadness. It means they'll come harder next time." Evan looked toward the tunnel exit. "Then we find answers before they do." Hours later, they reached the edge of the industrial sector. The surface above glowed with the pale morning light of Nareth 4's twin suns. The city was quiet now, but the tension in the air was unmistakable. Giant screens displayed emergency warnings. Vayari fugitive still at large. Human collaborator identified, Evan read. Evan gritted his teeth. "They've branded me already." Lyra touched his arm lightly. "You don't have to come with me anymore." He turned to her. "Too late. They put my name next to yours. Guess that makes us a team now." Her skin shimmered faint. Old surprise mixed with warmth. They made their way to the ruins of an old laboratory at the edge of the city, an abandoned human research site sealed after the Vayari experiments were declared illegal. The gates were rusted, the walls cracked, but the air still smelled of chemicals and memory. Lyra hesitated at the entrance. "This place feels wrong." Evan raised his pistol, scanning for traps. Wrong usually means answers. Inside, the lab was dark and cold. Rows of glass tanks stood empty, covered in dust and dried residue. The walls were lined with metal pods marked with faded numbers. VE12, VE13, VE14. Lyra's eyes filled with pain. "Those were my sisters," she whispered. "They said we were made for empathy, to heal or destroy with emotions. But when we started feeling too much, they called us unstable." Evan's jaw tightened. They didn't want empathy. They wanted control. He moved to a terminal, brushing off years of grime. The screen flickered to life after he connected his portable power cell. Lines of encrypted text scrolled across. Then, file access granted, a list of experiment logs appeared. He opened one. Subject VE15, Lyra. Emotional Response Fusion Test, Thunder 47. Result, unexpected cross-link with human neural frequency. Reaction unstable. Subject exhibits bond resonance with human subjects. Termination recommended. Lyra covered her mouth. "Termination," she whispered. "They wanted to erase me." Evan read further, his hands trembling. "There's more. They injected you with something called E-synth compound. It was meant to synchronize alien emotion with human empathy circuits." He looked at her. "That's why my touch changes your color. My nervous system reacts to your energy." She stared at him in disbelief. "So, we are connected." Before he could answer, a cold voice echoed through the chamber. "Correct, Mr. Red." They turned. A figure stepped out from the shadows, tall, thin, wearing a white coat that caught the dim light. His eyes gleamed with a cruel intelligence. "Dr. Vale," Lyra breathed, her skin flashing black with fear. The scientist smiled faintly. "My most unpredictable creation," he said, looking at her like she was an artifact. "You should have died that night, Lyra, but instead you bonded with a human." "How poetic." Evan stepped forward, aiming his pistol. "You turned her into a lab rat." Vale raised an eyebrow. "No, Mr. Red. I turned her into evolution. Humanity needed a new weapon, one that could feel. But the girl became something else. Something dangerous." Lyra's glow brightened, shifting violently between colors, red, white, blue. "You tortured us," she said. "You called us monsters." Vale pressed a small device in his hand. Lyra gasped, clutching her chest as faint red sparks crawled across her skin. Evan shouted, "What are you doing to her?" "Just reminding her who owns her power," Vale said calmly. "That bond of yours, your touch stabilizes her. Without it, she collapses." Lyra fell to her knees, trembling, her skin flickering uncontrollably. Evan ran to her, grabbing her hand. Instantly, her color shifted back to white, steady again. Vale's eyes gleamed. Fascinating. The link works both ways. Evan glared at him. You're not touching her again. The scientist chuckled. You misunderstand. I don't need to. She'll come with me willingly once she sees the truth. He tapped another control. A holographic screen appeared behind him, showing a group of Vayari children in containment pods, alive, frightened, glowing faintly. Lyra gasped. They're still alive? Vale smiled coldly. Yes, and if you want them free, you'll bring yourself back to me. Her light dimmed to cold gray. Evan's voice hardened. You won't win this time. Vale turned to leave. You're too late already. The city will burn before she learns control. And with that, he disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind the hum of machinery and the truth that shattered everything they thought they knew. Lyra looked at Evan, tears glowing silver on her cheeks. They made me to destroy, she whispered. He shook his head. No, Lyra, we'll prove them wrong. Her skin turned bright gold. Then we'll have to do it together. The air in the ruined lab felt heavy, like the walls themselves remembered every scream. The faint hum of old machines echoed through the corridors as dust swirled in the pale blue light of Lyra's glow. Evan wrapped a torn strip of cloth around his shoulder wound, wincing. We need to move, he said. Vale won't stop until he gets you. Lyra's skin shimmered faint gray, fear mixed with guilt. He has the children, she whispered. They're still trapped in the pods. I can feel them. Their pain. Evan looked at her, startled. You feel them? She nodded slowly. All Vayari are connected through emotion. It's like hearing a song far away, but it hurts. Their fear calls to me. Evan clenched his jaw. Then we'll answer it. He turned toward the back of the lab where an old freight elevator sat half buried in rubble. Its control panel blinked faintly. If Vale took the pods underground, this is our way in. Lyra touched the panel and it came alive instantly, wires glowing with her energy. The elevator groaned, then began to descend into the depths of Narith 4. The walls shook as they traveled down. The air grew colder. Lyra's glow reflected off steel pipes and glass conduits running with blue liquid. She could feel it, the hum of energy below them. When the elevator stopped, a blast of light filled the chamber. Before them lay a massive underground complex, a hidden city of laboratories, machines, and containment cells. Inside transparent pods floated dozens of Vayari children, their skin glowing weakly. Lyra's knees buckled. No, she whispered. They're draining them. Evan stepped forward, fury in his eyes. Vale's using their emotions as power. At the far end of the chamber, screens lit up. Dr. Vale's voice echoed through hidden speakers. Impressive, he said smoothly. You made it farther than expected. The bond between you two is remarkable. Lyra glared at the nearest camera. Let them go. Vale chuckled. Oh, I will, after I record one final reaction. When the human's touch triggers your full synchronization, the city's grid will flood with your energy. Imagine it, Lyra, a world powered by feelings. Evan snarled. You'll kill her. On the contrary, Vale said. I'll make her immortal. With a hiss, the floor split open. Mechanical arms rose, aiming stun weapons. Energy bolts fired, lighting the chamber with blue fire. Evan pushed Lyra behind a console, firing his pistol at the drones. Sparks rained down as explosions shook the ceiling. We need to shut this place down. Lyra touched the console, trying to override the system. Her skin flashed white, then gold, then red. I can't control the power, it's too much. Then use it, Evan shouted over the noise. You are the power. She met his eyes, her colors chaotic, swirling like a storm. If I release it, it'll burn everything. Including you, he took her hand. Then we burned together. Their hands met. The world went silent. Every light in the chamber turned pure white. The machines froze. The pod stopped humming. Then slowly the white spread, soft, warm, alive. The air itself seemed to breathe. Evan felt his heart race in sync with hers. He could see flashes, her memories, her pain, her loneliness. And she felt his, the years of working alone, fixing broken things, waiting for something worth saving. The energy built between them, no longer chaotic, but harmonized. The silver light from her body spread into him, fusing like living threads. The shock wave hit. Every pod shattered open gently. The children floated free, their eyes glowing gold as they woke from their prisons. Machines short-circuited, collapsing like dying beasts. The underground city shook, but the destruction was beautiful, color pouring from every corner like sunrise after endless night. When the light faded, the facility was silent again. Only soft silver mist floated in the air. Evan lay on the floor, barely breathing. Lyra knelt beside him, tears glowing on her cheeks. "Evan, please stay with me." He smiled weakly. "Still, fixing things." She laughed through tears, her glow pulsing gold. She touched his chest and the light passed from her into him. His wounds began to heal, faint silver veins appearing beneath his skin. He blinked in wonder. "What did you do?" Lyra smiled softly. "I shared the link. You're part of the Viari network now. You'll feel what we feel." Their surroundings shimmered faintly as the rescued children's lights began to merge with hers. Together, their glow spread upward through the tunnels, reaching the surface of Nareth 4. Above ground, the dead machines of the city flickered on again. Filters restarted, skies cleared, and power returned, but this time it was alive. Vale's voice came weakly from the speakers, trembling now. "What have you done?" Evan stood, helping Lyra to her feet. "You wanted power," he said. "Now every living heart on this planet will share it." Lyra looked up at the silver-lit ceiling. "The world will feel again." Their hands clasped one more time. The bond between human and alien complete. And as the silver light spread across the world, the people of Nareth 4 looked up to the sky, where for the first time in centuries, the air glowed with color born not from machines, but from the emotions of two souls who finally understood what it meant to be alive. The storm clouds above Nareth 4 had vanished. For the first time in living memory, sunlight touched the metallic city without burning through haze or smoke. Towers that once stood gray now shimmered with reflected silver light. Across the horizon, machines hummed gently, not as tools of war, but as part of something alive. From every corner of the planet, people stood in silence, looking at the sky that now glowed faint gold. They didn't know what had happened deep below the surface. They didn't know a human and an alien had changed the heartbeat of their world. But they felt it, the warmth spreading quietly inside them as if the planet itself had remembered how to breathe. Far below, in the quiet ruins of the underground lab, Evan opened his eyes. Silver light still floated softly in the air like drifting dust. His body felt weightless, his wounds completely healed. The pain that had once gripped him was gone, replaced by a faint rhythm pulsing through his chest. A second heartbeat, one that wasn't his. He looked beside him. Lyra lay still, her skin pale as glass, her glow almost gone. "Lyra," he whispered, his voice breaking. He knelt beside her and touched her cheek. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint spark of light rippled across her skin, soft pink, then gold. She gasped, her eyes fluttering open. Evan laughed through tears. "You scared me." Her voice was weak but steady. "We did it, didn't we?" He nodded, helping her sit up. Around them, the walls of the lab shimmered faintly with life. Tiny vines of silver energy crawling across the metal, like veins feeding a living heart. "The city's breathing again," Evan said. "You didn't just stop Vale, you healed Nareth 4. Lyra looked around, dazed. "I can feel them. The Viari, the humans, everyone. It's like one big song. They're all connected now." Evan smiled. "You gave them back emotion." "No," she said softly, looking at him. "We did." On the surface, news broadcasts filled every screen. Energy grid restored. Atmosphere regenerating. Unknown light phenomenon across the planet. But the people didn't fear it. For the first time, they smiled when they saw color dancing in the sky. Bands of silver, gold, and blue moving together like living auroras. In the marketplace where Lyra had first collapsed, strangers helped each other rebuild their stalls. Machines once used for patrols now carried food and water for children. Even the cold hum of engines sounded different, almost gentle. The world had changed, quietly but forever. Evan and Lyra stood at the entrance of the lab, looking up at the faint sunlight trickling down through the tunnel cracks. She reached out her hand and caught a ray of light in her palm. Her skin turned a soft rainbow of shifting colors. "I used to think my colors were a curse," she said quietly, "that every feeling made me dangerous." Evan looked at her. Maybe feelings were never the problem. Maybe the world just forgot how powerful they are. She turned to him, smiling. "What color do you see when you look at me now?" He thought for a moment, then said, "Every color there is." She laughed softly. Then that means you're feeling everything too. Guess I'm learning, he said with a grin. Her laughter filled the tunnel, gentle and musical. And as she laughed, light rippled up the walls, spreading through the cracks and reaching the open air above, painting the sky with living color once more. That night, when darkness fell, Nareth 4 didn't sleep. The sky shimmered with ribbons of soft light that moved with every heartbeat across the planet. Children pointed and laughed. Adults stood quietly with tears in their eyes, and even the machines paused their endless work to look upward, as if they too could feel. In a small workshop rebuilt from the ruins, Evan sat by a window repairing a small drone. Lyra stood beside him, her skin glowing silver white in the gentle light. She touched the repaired drone, and it came to life, hovering near her hand like a curious bird. See? Evan said. You don't destroy anymore. You create, Lyra smiled, her eyes soft. It's because of you. He shook his head. No, it's because of us. I fixed machines, but you fixed me. For a moment, silence filled the room. Warm, complete, peaceful. Then Lyra stepped closer and took his hand. Their colors blended again, silver and gold twining like threads of dawn. She whispered, Maybe this is what love looks like for us. He smiled. Then it's the most beautiful color I've ever seen. Outside, the whole world glowed brighter as if it had heard them. The light spread across the horizon, uniting two species, two hearts, and countless lives in one shared rhythm. And as the night passed into a new day, the story of the girl whose skin changed with emotion and the human who dared to touch her became legend. A legend whispered across galaxies. When human and alien hearts beat as one, the universe itself learns to feel again.